I have to say the market isn't getting any less crazy today than it was yesterday. This is really insane. We got to talk about CTNT. This is the one that after hours went up to over $40 a share. Right now it's back at $2.64. And yesterday it went down to about $2 a share. So look at this move all the way up to $40 a share and then stair-stepping back down. So this again is one of these Chinese stocks where it's got the Chinese connection, and we are seeing that sort of classic move. So if we back this out and we look at the daily chart just for a second. So let's see, let's look at the daily chart here. So this one first came up as a double top. So it IPOs in August, which was when we were seeing some really strong moves in Chinese stocks. It sold off for a while, goes sideways. The float's like 1.5 million shares. It's a very low float stock. And then all of a sudden it squeezes up here about a week ago, up to about 6, which I sort of looked at more or less as being a double top with this previous move. So double top here with the IPO high. It then pushes through that level and kind of grinds higher, up to 10, up to 12. And then yesterday, this was totally crazy. So again, not to recap all of yesterday because I already did that, but yesterday pre-market, it surges up here to 14, and there was a 20,000 share buyer that was propping it up. So that created the illusion of support. But whoever placed that order yanked it before it got filled. And then when the price started dropping, well, that buy order was nowhere to be seen. The price tanks. It drops here back down to $10 a share, as you could see right here. It goes sideways and then sells off around 10:30, 11 a.m., all the way down to about $2 a share. So this is that typical, 80, 90% drop that we see in a lot of these Chinese stocks where it seems like people, I don't know who, just start dumping shares. And they're selling shares, and I have to think that they're at a profit. Now, if any of you have seen, I don't know, WhatsApp messages or, Telegram or anything like that on CTNT, let me know. I'm curious. I haven't heard of any, but it wouldn't surprise me because this is what we seem to see with a lot of these Chinese stocks. So it sells off, then it halts up once and twice, 3 times, up to volume weight average price, pulls back. All right, that's, a nice bounce, but I don't know how much higher it's going to go. Gets over VWAP, holds VWAP, and then it starts to pop back up towards 10. And now this is where things get a little interesting because all of a sudden we're going very close to green on the day. It breaks through 11, and all of a sudden into the close, it squeezes up to $20 a share. Now, I bought the dip after it broke over 20 right here. It was on this candle here that I bought this dip. And I had a first target, $25 a share. Second target was $30 a share. Hit the target, squeezes higher, goes all the way to $44 a share. Now, what's interesting is that this was on pretty high volume, you could say, compared to the volume during the rest of the trading day. And what's interesting about that is that it's higher volume, even though the price is 10 times as high. So you would expect more volume at $2 to $3 a share here than you're going to have at $20, $30. But the volume was very high in that area. So hundreds of thousands of shares were trading. It then pulls back, relatively light volume pullback. I kind of wondered if it was going to move higher, but it kept kind of selling off. 4 a.m. pre-market opens this morning. This starts to push a little bit lower and ends up really sinking here as we come in towards 8 a.m. Just sort of really unwinds. Pretty high volume here, but again, still lower than the peaks yesterday. And now we're much cheaper and much lower priced. So I don't know if all that volume here was short covering, in this move. I don't know if it was shorts that were covering, just getting liquidated, but it was a really impressive move. But now we look at the volume today, and now we're really picking up. This is a lot of volume today, and it's just selling, right? Relative to that, much higher volume, and it's people selling. So this is now all the way back down, and it's just a dumpster. So you know what? I didn't trade CTNT today. Obviously, just looking at the pre-market chart, you could tell that there really wasn't an opportunity. However, if we think back about my last few days, how did I start last Thursday? In the red. How did I start last Friday? In the red. How did I start Monday? In the red. How did I start today? In the red. And I was patient too. I really tried to take it slow. So here's what I did this morning. I came over, I looked at my phone, I saw that we had some cheaper stocks on the scans, MGLO, there's a couple others, and I was like, ugh, not that interested in trading these. So I'm not sure if I'm going to get, if there's going to be any really nice action for me today. Made my way over here, sat down around 7, was streaming, breaking down kind of my watch list, looking at what was on the scans. 7 comes and goes, no breaking news, no trade. 7:30 comes and goes, nothing. We come up to 8, and so now let's break it down. So first trade of the day for me was actually at 8:45. I patiently waited. We had 8 a.m., nothing. 8:30, nothing. I'm waiting for news. I don't want to trade something that doesn't have news. That's what I'm thinking to myself. I want to trade something with news. Silo hits the scanners, has news, 8:45 a.m. So I'm like, okay, announces positive results from study for depression treatment, remission, relapse prevention, 8:45. It pops up and I'm like, okay, here we go. We've got some news. So as this pops up on my scans, it hits my scan and I look at it and I think, all right, well, we just popped up here to a high of 47 on this candle. We dipped down for a moment, and I bought this dip with 5,000 shares at 234. And I'm thinking, it pops. Now I'm waiting. Buy here on the dip. I'm thinking we're going to go back to 250. And on this candle, you could see all of a sudden it drops down to 220. And I end up selling into this flush right here. And I took a $2,000 loss. I lost 40 cents a share with 5,000 shares. It ends up going all the way down to $1.60 and is suddenly gapping down on the day on news. And at that point, I was just like, this is unbelievable. You know what? I mean, you could say in hindsight that I could have waited for more of a pattern to form and this and that. But this actually had news. So we had a stock earlier today, LMFA, that popped up. And I didn't trade it because I saw that it didn't have news. So LMFA pops up. It hits my scanner at 375. I looked at it. I was like, I could get in here at 380, but I don't see any news. It goes to 4. I'm like, well, I'm not going to chase it now. It goes up to 460. I was like, well, I guess I actually would have made money on that if I'd bought it at 380. Comes all the way back down, though. So I said, you know what? Well, it came back down because there's no news. So I'm going to wait for a stock that actually has news. But Silo has news. It pops up. It then drops. Really not even sure what to think about that. It seemed like as soon as it popped up, there was a seller there. And when I bought at 35, I definitely bought from a hidden seller. So somebody was immediately ready to sell this thing instantaneously. Now, you could say, well, why was it even up a little bit here pre-market on light volume? One wonders. I don't know. Maybe somebody somehow knew there was something coming with some news. And as soon as it popped up, they were selling. They sold those shares. So Silo, there were definitely more sellers than buyers. People, into this first spike, obviously there was selling because there's volume, but then less volume, it drops far more, which tells you that there was more selling, just an imbalance to the sell side. So that was disappointing. And GTPB or GTBP, I had been saying, no, I don't think I want to trade this because it doesn't have news. It's a continuation setup. I'm not sure if it's going to work. So it initially pops up here to $10. It goes from 8 to 9 up to 9.50. It pulls back, and I was watching it in this area, and I was thinking, all right, we got to move up. We got a light volume pullback, but I didn't love that there was a hidden seller at 9.50. So I was like, nah, I don't think I can trade this. It pulls back. It pops up. I didn't buy that. I was like, no, I don't know. I'm not feeling it. High volume rejection here. Ends up pulling back a little bit more. MACD crosses over. And then it comes up through 950. And you know what? There was a seller at 960, 965, and it busts through it. It goes up to 11. And so here, as it does a micro pullback from 10 up to 11, I said, you know what? I'm going to watch this next micro pullback. And I ended up buying this micro pullback right here at 1120. and it squeezes up to 1150, 1160 to 13. It does a micro pullback right here. It then goes up to a high right here, as you can see, to 15 and just under $16 a share. Made 9,200 bucks. Then all of a sudden, offering right here at 9:15. Now, I recorded this offering and I'm going to upload that as a separate video. So you guys are going to want to watch that. That's going to come a little bit later today. But on my trades here, just to break down the trades, I jumped in basically as soon as this started to go parabolic. So someone said, Ross, what do you mean when something is going parabolic? How can you kind of tell that it's going parabolic? Because in a sense, Silo, when it first starts moving from 2 to 250, is obviously moving quickly. And it was. That moved quickly from about, I guess 230, 250. Squeezes up 10% in less than a minute. It's obviously moving fast. So, and I kind of panic sold. It's obviously rallied back up to just under where I got in, but I have to respect my max loss. And so I had to get out. I felt like that was the right move. I didn't know how much lower it was going to drop. But on GTBP, the way I played this one is we had this initial move higher, which was on, let's see, is this, sorry, I was right here. So we had this initial move higher where it popped up. And right here, I saw this again as it hit about 875. And I was like, I could jump in this right now, but it's a continuation setup. And I don't know, given that, and I just took well, actually, this was before that trade. But given that I haven't been trading super well these last few days, I was like, I think I need to wait for something that's with news. I wasn't sure. Anyways, it pops up, moves quickly, but, kind of stalls out, pops up, false breakout, pops up, flushes. As it came back up here to 950, I was watching this. And some of you guys took some trades on this, and good for you if you did. I hesitated because of the lack of news. Anyways, then I took the trade on Silo at 8:45 a.m. So that was like right here. I lost on it. And then I still had GTPB on watch. And all of a sudden it pops up here to 1050, 1075, and 11. And now I'm thinking it's going parabolic because it's going up 50 cents basically every couple of seconds. It's moving really fast. So right in here is where I bought. Right here on this dip, that's where I got in, right in there. And I started with 2,500 shares and I doubled to 5,000, which was kind of a bigger position. I mean, well, not really. My max position is 5,000 shares until I've broken over $1,000 of profit. So anyway, so I took this trade here and it instantly goes to 12, 12.50. It spikes up to 14 and I was taking profit off here into this spike. So instantly in the green, up about 7,000, or up 7,000 on that stock, up 5,000 on the day. And then I traded it again as it squeezed up right here. Little jackknife, then it pulls away, dips, and pulls away even further. So, all's well that ends well. I got some nice trades on it. But I still feel conflicted about the day in general because of the drop on CTNT and then the drop on Silo. And, it just was like, man, this is confusing. Even stocks with news are not responding the way I would expect. And then the ones that make a big move have no news at all. And then when the news comes out, of course, it's bad news and it drops. So anyways, kind of a wild day. So this is back down. CTNT is back down. Everything is just feels choppy, except for, some momentum in the penny stocks, which I don't tend to trade and I don't tend, to like them because they're too cheap. And I have a little bit of a bias there that maybe I have to be reconsidering because that's a nice move from 40 cents up to $1.40. But anyways, that's it for me. So I thank you guys as always for tuning in. I hope you hit that thumbs up. I hope you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for the live trading archive of the breaking news offering that came on CTNT this morning. I was recording it and you'll be able to watch that drop, 50% drop in about 1 minute. It was pretty wild. So stay tuned for that and I'll see you guys for the next episode real soon. And I'll remind you as always that trading is risky. My results aren't typical and there's no guarantee you'll find success whether you trade with me or you learn on your own. So take it slow. I'll see you guys back here tomorrow morning.